Cheryl Mason's hand trembled as she clutched the Medal of Honor, her fingers tracing its worn surface. The room was silent, every eye fixed on her, waiting for her next move, sensing that something extraordinary was unfolding. The 8 Marines surrounding her stood at attention, their eyes unwavering, their presence a shield against the growing storm of tension. From the back of the room, Captain Reed's voice broke the silence. "Mrs. Mason," he said softly but firmly, "this is just the beginning. What you've done here today, what your son did, has changed everything. Now it's time everyone else finally sees the truth." A sharp crack echoed through the ballroom as the doors swung open violently. Every head turned. Standing in the doorway was a figure no one expected to see. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a face half-shadowed by a hood, he stepped inside with slow, deliberate steps. His presence radiated authority, dangerous, commanding. He paused at the threshold, eyes scanning the room like a predator. Then, with a voice deep and steady, he declared, "This isn't over yet." Everyone's breath caught. No one dared speak as he advanced. The room felt smaller, the air heavier. When he reached the center, he pulled back his hood. The crowd gasped. It was someone no one recognized at first, till their eyes widened in shock. It was Jake Mason himself, or what looked like him. The man's face was scarred, hardened by years of battles. But his eyes, those familiar, bright eyes, held the same unwavering courage that had made him a hero. Yet there was something different, something darker, something more intense. "I'm here," Jake said, voice rough but clear, "because I owe you all an explanation." Cheryl's knees buckled. Tears streamed down her face as she stared at the figure she thought she'd lost forever. The room erupted into whispers, some in disbelief, others confused. Jake's voice grew stronger. "I didn't die in Afghanistan. Not exactly. I was injured badly. But I survived. I was taken away, hidden, because what I saw and knew what I had become was dangerous." A hush fell over the room. No one dared breathe. He continued, "They thought I was dead. My enemies, the ones who attacked us, they thought so too, but I wasn't, not fully. They kept me alive, experimenting, trying to turn me into something else, a weapon. I escaped. I've been in hiding, fighting every day to stay free." The shock rippled through the crowd like an earthquake. Tyler Blackwood's face paled, his earlier arrogance evaporating. He looked around, trying to find an escape route, but it was too late. Jake's voice lowered, almost a whisper. "And that's why I'm here today. To tell you the truth. To warn you, there are things happening that you don't understand. Things that go far beyond medals and ceremonies. There's a darkness coming, and it's more powerful than any of us imagined." A figure rose from the crowd, a woman, middle-aged, trembling, clutching a small bag. She stepped forward, her eyes filled with fear and hope. "Jake," she whispered, voice trembling, "it's really you." He nodded. "Mum, I'm alive, but not the way they wanted. I've been fighting a different battle, one I can't win alone. And now I need your help to stop what's coming." The room was stunned. The truth, shocking enough, was now spiraling into something terrifying. Suddenly, an alarm sounded, blaring sirens from the building's security system. Lights flickered. A voice crackled over the PA system. "Unauthorized access detected. All personnel evacuate immediately." Chaos erupted. People scrambled, some falling to their knees, others pushing toward the exits. But Jake stepped forward, raising his hand. "No," he commanded. "This isn't an escape. It's a warning From behind him, a hidden panel opened, revealing a massive screen. On it, images flickered, pictures of military installations, black ops projects, and dark figures operating in secret. A shadowy organization, more powerful than anyone had suspected, had been experimenting with mind control, weaponizing soldiers, and creating chaos to hide their true plans. Those, Jake said, pointing at the images, are the real enemies. They've been controlling everything from behind the scenes, using fear, violence, and deception to keep us blind. His voice grew fierce, and I know their next move. They're going to unleash chaos, destabilize governments, and plunge the world into darkness, all to create a new order, one where they are the rulers and we are the pawns. The crowd stared, stunned. A few brave souls began to cry out for action, for justice. Others looked around, realizing that everything they'd believed in was a lie. Jake looked directly at Cheryl. "Mum, I'm sorry I kept this from you. I wanted to protect you. But now I need you to help me expose them. Because if we don't, billions will suffer." She nodded fiercely, tears mixing with resolve. "I'll do whatever it takes. I won't let them win." Suddenly, a group of armed men burst into the room, dark suits, masks, weapons drawn. They had been hiding in the shadows, waiting for the signal. But Jake was ready. Without hesitation, he stepped forward, his face set with purpose. "Anyone who stands in our way," he said, voice cold and unyielding, "will answer to justice." The scene exploded into chaos, gunfire, shouts, and a desperate fight for survival. But amid the chaos, Jake's voice boomed again, echoing through the room. "This isn't just about me. It's about all of us. About stopping the darkness before it consumes everything." And then, in a flash and explosion, not from outside, but from the very core of the building, shaking the ground beneath their feet, what emerged from the rubble was horrifying and enormous. Mechanical beast, glowing with unnatural energy, tearing through the debris like a nightmare come alive. Its eyes burned red, and its claws scraped the air. Jake's face hardened. "That's their final weapon," he said grimly. "A monster they've been hiding. And it's just the beginning." The room was plunged into darkness as the creature advanced, unleashing a deafening roar. The battle for truth, for survival, had only just begun, and as the chaos spiraled out of control, Cheryl clutched her son's medal tightly, knowing that the fight for freedom, for justice, and for the soul of the world was far from over. "Would you like me to craft more chapters in this style, or further develop specific twists?" The monstrous creature roared again, its red eyes glowing like hellfire as metal claws scraped the shattered debris of the ballroom. Sparks flew, and the very ground trembled beneath everyone's feet. In the chaos, Jake Mason's eyes hardened, with unwavering determination. He knew this was not just a beast. It was a weapon, a dark machine built for destruction, unleashed by the very people who had created the chaos in secret. "Everyone," Jake shouted, voice cutting through the deafening noise, "get back. This thing isn't just attacking us, it's a warning. They've sent this to show how far they're willing to go." But no one moved. The crowd was frozen, trembling, caught between terror and awe. Cheryl Mason clutched her son's medal tightly to her chest, her heart pounding so loudly she thought it might burst. She saw her son's face in her mind, bright, brave, fearless. Now he was standing right in front of her, fighting a nightmare made flesh. Suddenly, a deafening blast shook the room again. The creature's claws tore through the air, smashing a section of the wall behind the stage. From the smoke emerged armored figures, dark silhouettes with glowing weapons. They were coming, more of them, seeking to contain or destroy what Jake had uncovered. "Run," Jake yelled, grabbing Cheryl's arm. "We don't have much time. If that thing gets loose." A new explosion erupted, this time from the building's core. The entire floor shuddered, and a fissure cracked open near the stage, releasing a blinding flash of energy. The creature, sensing the chaos, let out a guttural roar that echoed like 1,000 thunderstorms. Its claws scraped the floor as it lunged forward with unnatural speed, aiming straight for Jake. "No!" Cheryl screamed, but Jake was already moving. His body was a blur, dodging and weaving as the beast's claws sliced through the air. Where he had just been, sparks flew around him, and he knew this was not just a fight for survival. It was a war for truth, for the soul of everyone in that room. He shouted into the chaos. "This monster isn't just attacking us. It's a message. They've been experimenting, creating these weapons things that can wipe out entire cities. They're just getting started." A flash of recognition crossed Cheryl's eyes. "They're trying to start a war," she whispered, her voice trembling. "A war they can control." The creature's massive head turned sharply, sensing Jake's defiance. Its roar was deafening, almost deafening enough to drown out the whispers of terror and disbelief. Its claws reached out for Jake again, but he was quicker, firing his weapon, aiming for the glowing core in the beast's chest. The energy burst out in a shockwave, knocking the creature back, but it only snarled and surged forward. From behind, the armored figures advanced, their weapons blazing. They were not just soldiers, they were scientists, engineers, and architects of this nightmare, all working for a shadowy organization that hid behind layers of secrecy and lies. Their plan was to unleash chaos, to destabilize nations, to create a new world order under their control. Jake's eyes flickered with fierce resolve. "We stop this now," he shouted, "before they turn everything into a battlefield." Suddenly, a new figure appeared, an older man with a face carved by years of war, standing atop the debris. His voice boomed with authority, calm but commanding. "Enough," he declared. "This ends today." The crowd turned, eyes wide with shock. The man's presence radiated power, aura of command that no one could ignore. His uniform was old but pristine, medals gleaming even amid the chaos. "Who are you?" Cheryl managed to gasp. "I am General Marcus Kane," the man said, voice steady and deep. "And I've been tracking this organization for years. They thought they could hide their secrets, but I've been hunting them, and I know exactly how to stop this creature and those who sent it." The armored figures hesitated, caught between their orders and the undeniable authority of the general. "You're risking everything," one of them hissed. "Risking?" Kane shot back. "No, I'm saving everything. This monster, this chaos, this is their weapon of mass destruction, and I won't let it destroy what little remains of our world." Jake looked up at Kane, hope flickering in his eyes. "Can you really stop it?" Kane nodded grimly. "Yes, but I need your help. This isn't just about fighting a beast. It's about exposing the darkness behind it. The real enemy is the organization that built this nightmare, those who want to control everything from the shadows." Suddenly, the beast's roar turned to a screech. Its eyes flickered wildly, and it staggered as if something inside it was dying. The energy core beneath its flesh flickered and sputtered, sparks flying in all directions. "Now," Kane shouted, "focus all fire on that core." Jake didn't hesitate. He raised his weapon, firing shot after shot as the energy burst grew unstable. Sparks erupted, and the beast's body convulsed, then collapsed with a thunderous crash, shaking the entire building. The smoke thickened, and the monstrous machine disintegrated into a jumble of broken metal and sparks. The armored figures retreated, their plans thwarted at least for now. Kane turned to Jake and Cheryl, exhaustion etched into his face, but victorious. "This is just the beginning," Kane said softly. "They won't stop until they've achieved total control. We've exposed their weapon, but the war's far from over." Jake looked around at the chaos, then back to Cheryl. "We've just seen how deep the darkness runs. But now we know the truth, and that's the first step in stopping them." Cheryl's voice trembled, but she found strength. "My son gave everything to stop this. I won't let his sacrifice be in vain." The room was silent, the dust settling, the danger momentarily contained. Outside, sirens wailed in the distance, signaling that help was on the way. The nightmare had been unleashed, but the fight for justice and truth had only just begun. Jake looked to the horizon, knowing that the real battle was ahead, but he also knew one thing: as long as there were people like Cheryl and heroes willing to stand against darkness, hope was alive, and the fight for their future had only just started. "Would you like me to continue further or focus on specific twists?" The explosion shattered the ceiling like a thunderclap, sending shards of debris raining down. The monstrous machine, now a writhing mass of broken metal and flickering sparks, collapsed into a heap of twisted steel. But amid the chaos, Jake Mason's eyes were fixed on the shadowy figures emerging from the smoke soldiers, scientists and men cloaked in darkness. Their eyes glinted with cold, ruthless intent as they prepared to unleash another attack. Kane's voice cut through the chaos, sharp and commanding. "Everyone, move. This isn't over yet. They're not just trying to destroy us. They want to erase everything we stand for." Cheryl clung to her son's medal, her heart pounding so fiercely she thought it might burst. Her mind raced. This was no ordinary fight. It was a war waged in shadows, with the very fabric of reality hanging in the balance. Suddenly, a new figure appeared, an imposing man with a scar running down his face, stepping out from the shadows. His eyes were cold, calculating. "You think this is the end?" he sneered. "You're fools. This was only a test. The real weapon is still out. They're hidden, waiting. And when it wakes, nothing can stop it." A shiver ran through the room. The crowd froze, staring in horror as the man's words sank in. Jake's fists clenched. "Who are you?" he demanded. "What are you really after?" The man chuckled darkly. "I'm the architect of your nightmares, the one who built the monsters. You think you've seen true horror. You haven't seen anything yet, but I'll tell you this: your heroism is just a game to us. The real chaos begins now." Before anyone could react, the ground trembled again. The shadows twisted and writhed, revealing a massive, glowing portal opening in the center of the room. From it, a wave of energy surged, dark, pulsating, alive. The portal was a gateway and entry point for something far worse than a machine. "No," Cheryl screamed. "You can't let them do this." But the shadowy architect only grinned. "It's too late. The world is about to change forever." Suddenly, the portal exploded with a blinding flash. A wave of black energy burst outward, engulfing everything. The air thickened with a malevolent presence and evil that seeped into every corner, every mind. It was as if the darkness had taken a life of its own, twisting reality into nightmare. Jake shielded Cheryl as the energy hit him, his vision blurred. His body felt pulled apart and reassembled in 1,000 different places. He saw visions of cities burning, nations falling, people screaming, worlds torn apart by an unseen force. Then a voice, deep, ancient, and undeniably re-echoed inside his mind. "This is just the beginning," it said. "You have fought bravely, but the true battle is yet to come. We are the darkness, and we will not be stopped." In that moment, Jake realized something terrifying. The shadowy figures, they weren't just humans. They were part of a greater evil, a cosmic force that had existed long before humanity and would continue long after. And the portal. It was a seed planted in the very heart of the world, meant to grow into chaos beyond anything anyone could imagine. The darkness pressed closer, draining hope from everything around it. Cheryl clutched her son's medal, tears streaming down her face. "No," she whispered, "not my son's sacrifice, not everything we fought for." But the evil responded with a terrible, mocking laugh. "Your heroism was just a spark. We are the storm, and the storm is coming." The room faded into darkness, swallowed by the shadows. When the light returned, everything was different, silent, empty, eerily still. Jake was gone. The portal had vanished. The shadowy figures had dissolved into nothingness. And standing alone in the wreckage, Cheryl Mason understood her fight was not over. It had only just begun. Because deep in the shadows, something ancient and monstrous had awakened, and it would hunt every corner of the world. And the only hope left was a whisper in her heart, that even in the darkness, a single spark of courage could ignite a fire that no evil could extinguish. Her tears turned to resolve. She looked up, holding her son's medal high on, unbreakable, symbol of sacrifice, hope, and the fight that would never end. And somewhere in the distant darkness, the storm was gathering, but so was the light. And the battle for humanity's future had only just begun.